Hey guys, welcome back to Commentary Monday. I'll be doing a commentary video for this matchup at our newest locals that we just have in the 805 area. The place is called Arsenal's Comics and Games, so they will be having this every weekend on Sundays and maybe even Saturdays at 2 p.m. So if you guys live in the area, go check this place out. We're going to be doing EDISON here every Wednesday or every Saturday and Sunday at 2 p.m. Alright, let's start the game. Okay, so I think I win the die roll here, or no, my opponent here wins the die roll here. We're going to be playing Dragon Control versus Chaos Machinas. So I made a Chaos Machina deck that's basically a Salvo Dad deck, but I added the Machina engine in it, and then I also play Chaos Sorcerer, which makes it a Chaos Machina deck. My opponent starts off with the Ghoul Sarcophagus, which allows him to add any card to his hand in 2 turns. So his deck being a Feature Fusion deck, he wants to add the Feature Fusion as soon as possible, and within 2 turns. This is technically this deck is called like a Hopeless Dragon deck, which allows you to play out the Darkness Metal Dragon using the Red Eyes Wyvern. The Red Eyes Wyvern will allow to banish the end phase and then bring out the Darkness Metal Dragon from the graveyard. And the Darkness Metal Dragon will activate once per turn to bring out a dragon from their hand in the graveyard. Since you're activating Feature Fusion, you can have a lot of dragons in your graveyard, so it'll be generating a +1 every turn. I'm not sure what he sets here in his monster zones, but he sets a Starlight Road for sure. Activate Lure of Darkness right off the bat. I banish it to Koichi from my hand. And then, I don't know what I'm playing against, but seeing that he Ghoul Sarcophagus Fusion, and he is my friend, he typically plays Dragon with this, so I'm pretty sure this is going to be a Dragon deck. So I decided to pretty much infer that that set is not a Raikou, because he never plays Raikou in a Dragon deck. So I decided to set the Koichi here. Instead of attack the monster, and then I match him with the set. The set is probably a bottomless and an MST, so the MST is going to be there for the Feature Fusions. I do have a Salvo in my hand, so in case I want to go into the Black Rose line, I can. So I flip the Koichi and I draw into a Chaos Sorcerer. I have the option here to summon in the Black Salvo and synchro into a Black Rose, but he's committing more and more into the Black Rose. I'm pretty sure that the set is Starlight Road. I decided to attack the new set instead of attacking the old set because I want to preserve my Salvo, or I want to preserve my Salvo play. And if I preserve my Salvo play, that means I don't want to attack into a DD Warrior Lady, and the DD Warrior Lady is the old set, so I decided to attack the Masked Dragon. The Masked Dragon then floats into a Totem Dragon here, so that means I'm in big trouble anyways, which allows him to basically tribute summon any monster he wants. Any dragon that requires 2 tributes, he can just tribute summon for it. So he draws a turn here, he gets the Feature Fusion here. Here he can decide to activate the Feature Fusion right away. Instead he decides to tribute summon Totem Dragon for his Darkness Metal Dragon. I asked if he wants to call priority, and he does, and then I chain Bottomless to the priority. Okay, and then he loses his Darkness Metal Dragon. He has the option here of crashing his 1400 monster to my Koichi to flow into another monster. He decides to do that, and then he gets another dragon from his deck, most likely going to be another Masked Dragon. I take the 1400 damage because that's only an MST set. I'm waiting for his Feature Fusion to be activated so that I can flip it and destroy it on chain, so it doesn't resolve. He activates Feature Fusion, I chain MST. Nope, I don't have MST after all. So I guess I don't have the MST set, so I'm not sure what I have set at this point. Maybe I forgot that it was MST, so I've let it resolve it. So I draw for turn here, I draw my own Feature Fusion. So this deck, I thought the Feature Fusion was be a really good card in this deck. If I activate the Feature Fusion, then I can essentially send a lot of machine monsters if I reveal Chimera Tech Overdragon. The issue is that because I'm sending a bunch of monsters to the graveyard, I'm basically thinning out my deck out of useful monsters. And then when that happens, when Chimera Tech Overdragon comes out, what happens is he sends all my cards to the graveyard. So if I'm using the cards in my graveyard to basically as fuel for my Chaos monsters or Dark Arm Dragon, I have a time limit to destroy my opponent. And if I can't kill my opponent, my Chimera Tech Overdragon will kill me. So that's what essentially happens here. So I decided to activate Feature Fusion here, not knowing the repercussions of or the consequences of my actions. I decided to summon the Machina gear frame here to search for a fortress. And then here I can activate Feature Fusion, but I decide to declare an attack first. And then it was the DD Warrior Lady, so good thing I didn't attack that monster with the Dekoichi. Otherwise, I would have lost my Dekoichi play. So it looks like I opted not to activate the Future Fusion right away. Instead, I decided to set some cards. And I take the 1400 here. I choose not to activate the T-Prison. Instead of activated the Battle Fader. I activate the Battle Fader because if I summon the Black Salvo, the following turn I can make a level 8 Synchro. So end phase he brings out his Darkness Metal Dragon because he didn't normal summon for the turn. So probably here I decided to go Black Salvo to activate its effect. He does have 4 back rows, so I'm not sure what they are. I decided to make a Stardust here so that my Future Fusion doesn't get MST'd on the chain. I activate Future Fusion here to reveal the Chimera Tech Over Dragon. This allows me to fill up my graveyard, so I sent I think I sent like 2 Darks and also a Cyber Dragon. Cyber Dragon being a light monster allows me to play the Chaos Sorcerer really fluidly. So I sent a Machina Fortress as well because it can be revived from the graveyard. I was looking for my third Dekoichi, but I realized that I activated Lord of Darkness to banish it, so now it's in the banished area. And here I can make the Chaos Sorcerer to banish the Darkness Metal Dragon. I believe he only plays 2 copies in his deck, but I'm not too sure, so I decided to banish as much copies as possible, so he doesn't have a game plan. He decides to activate Torrential Tribute on the summon. I decided to negate with Stardust. Not sure what he plans on doing, but then he lets it resolve, and then basically he loses Darkness Metal Dragon. And then end phase I bring back the Stardust. The reason I left Stardust in attack mode, even though he can crash the Master Dragon into it, is that I do have a D-Prison set, so in case he wants to commit the attack to the D-Prison, he'll basically lose his monster. He summons the 5-headed dragon here, and I still have the D-Prison set, so I can basically remove it. Most likely he's going to declare an attack with the 5-headed dragon here into the Stardust, and then I'm going to D-Prison here so that I can save my Stardust. And since my Chimera Tech Over Dragon's coming out anyways, I decided to use the D-Prison on the first attack. So he wanted to send the Future Fusion in the graveyard, but Future Fusion says that the monster has to be destroyed in order in order for it to be removed. But since the 5-headed dragon was removed, he's unable to bring back he has to keep the Future Fusion on the field. So he sets another back row, clogging his row again, and then he's going to shift his monster to defense mode. I activate Chaos Sorcerer effect again so that I don't have to deal with the Master Dragon. And then now I have to kind of commit to the board here. I choose not to commit to the board because next turn I'm going to lose my my board anyways, and he's at a higher enough light points to survive. So I decided just to attack with the Stardust and then pass turn so that I don't lose any more back rows. Or I don't lose any more cards to the Chimera Tech. Yeah, here he asks if he can actually doesn't have to do anything because the Chimera Tech sends everything, and Stardust can't negate the Chimera Tech from sending all my cards to the field, unfortunately. So he asks those questions, and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much it. So he just plays it safe, and he just sets a monster and he passes. I send everything to the graveyard, and then I draw for turn. I drew into a Cyber Dragon, and I just pass without doing. Or what did I draw into? I drew into a Mirror Force and I just pass here. He sets another monster and he passes. I draw another and I pass. I drew onto Tragodia. I decided to keep the Tragodia in my hand so that I can pretty much defend myself in case he does anything. He draws into a Quakimaru Drago and then he attacks. He had another Quakimaru Drago, so he was looking for another dragon so that he can lock out my Tragodia. So now I'm locked in. I'm under the Tragodia, or I'm under the Quakimaru Drago. So decided to summon the Gear Frame here so I can attack the face down monster. I attacked the DD Warrior Lady, making me lose the Machina Gear Frame. I decided not to bring out the Fortress this turn because he hasn't used Mirror Force yet, and I didn't want to commit to more resources into the Mirror Force. So I decided to set a back row here. I think it was a Mirror Force. So he decided. So the reason why I didn't put the Mirror Force here is because he's been playing like pretty crazy. Like he has like pretty much Starlight Road. So I decided not to flip it because it would just mean lethal for me. If I flip it, he'll bring out Stardust and attack me. So pretty much I decided not to flip the Mirror Force to buy me another turn. I calculate the damage. If he swung with both of it, I'm at 900 life points, so it allows me to at least activate the brain control here, so I can do something. Unfortunately, I can't special summon anything with Black Salvo out, so I decided to go into the Fortress here, so that I can at least attack the over the Quakimaru Drago. And then he bottomless here, and that's pretty much game. I do have the brain control play where I can just steal a Quakimaru Drago and then normal summon the Plague and synchro summon into Goyo. So I did contemplate doing that. So I normal summon the Plague here. I activate my brain control, leaving me to 100 life points. Hopefully he doesn't have the Book of Moon here, and he doesn't. I take the Kokimaru Dragon and decide to Synchro Summon the Kokimaru Dragon into Goyo Guardian. So I place the Goyo Guardian in defense mode because he does play Exploder Dragon Wing, where he can just crash the Exploder Dragon Wing to the Goyo and then kill it. So I put it in defense mode. And then he draws into Totem Dragon. He decides to tribute summon his Totem Dragon and his Kokimaru Dragon and Exploder for Res Darkness Metal Dragon, and then he can use his effect to basically bring out a second dragon to clear the rest of my life points. And since he does have a Starlight Road set, the Mirror Force is pretty much a dead card. So game 2 is going to start in. I don't know what I decided to side against him. I have Pulling the Rug in my side deck, Vanity's Fiend. Pulling the Rug is pretty useless against him. I have Vanity's Fiend so I can lock out a special summon, so I definitely decided to side those cards into this matchup. It looks like I also have 7 tools, so 7 tools will definitely help against Starlight Road in case I want to go into Black Rose and nuke his board. So I decided to side that card. And I also decided to side Mind Crush because he does activate Gold Sark, so Gold Sark will allow me to have free information as to what he will have in his hand when Gold Sark's result. I decided to side those cards in. I had the option of siding the Decrees as well. Decree would actually, since he's playing the Dragon Control deck, he does play a lot of back rows. I decided to side those in. The tricky part about siding Decree is whether I should want to keep in the trap cards in the event that I draw into Decree and I flip it. The trap cards that I draw in the future will have no value until I destroy it. I figure I could do it technically. I can play the Decree, and then when I flip the Decree, I'll go into a Black Rose and nuke the board, and then on the future turns I'll draw into trap cards that I'll need. So I guess I had that thought process in my head. The only problem is that I took out the one salvo out of my deck, so I decided to go against the Decree plan. So I went for the full trap lineup. The reason why I took out Salvo out of my deck is because he does play Kokimaru Drago, and that card is really useless. Even if I were to able to lock out his back row with Decree, if he has a Kokimaru Drago on the board, I can't summon the Black Salvo and special summon a Dark Machine monster from my graveyard, so I can't make a Black Rose either way. So I decided to side out one Salvo in case that happens, and then keep in the trap cards so that I can deal with the Kokimaru Drago. Alright, so game 2 starts now, and he decides to go. I decided to go first, so that I can set up my Dekoichi line first. I set the Dekoichi, and I do have 7 tools of the Bandit set. I'm not sure if I want to commit into Heavy Storm, so I just set the Bottomless Trap Hole in case he wants to summon anything bigger. I decided to Bottomless Trap Hole here because if he has the Darkness Metal Dragon and he chooses not to summon it, then my Bottomless would pretty much just sit there until he decides to bring it out, and then I would just lose my Dekoichi. I decided Bottomless here so that I can keep my Dekoichi up. I don't have a good play, and I know that I decided the Vanity's Fiend, so I want to preserve my Dekoichi so I can tribute summon it. So he sets back row here. I decided to flip the Dekoichi, hopefully to draw into Vanity's Fiend, and I don't draw into Vanity's Fiend. I decided to summon the Gear Frame here, or tribute for Caius, and then poke him for 2400. Next turn I'll have lethal because I can summon the Gear Frame and bring out the Machina Fortress from my hand, and that together is enough damage. Since I do have the 7 tools of the Bandit set, I can activate Heavy Storm, and if he activates Starlight Road, I can activate the 7 tools of the Bandit, and he'll most likely not have Starlight Road to back that up. Or he won't have a Solemn Judgment to back that up. So if that happens, he'll be at an even lower life points. I can just kill him. So I summon the Gear Frame here to search for the fortress, and then I activate the Heavy Storm here. The only thing that can save him out of this is Book of Moon, so I fully realize that. I should have probably activated Heavy Storm first before summoning the Machina Gear Frame, because if he has the Book of Moon, he can choose, at this point, if I activate Heavy Storm and he activates Book of Moon on my Machina Gear Frame, I won't have lethal, so I should have activated Heavy Storm, and if he has the Starlight Road, I activate the 7 tools of the Bandit, and he would have to have Solemn Judgment. But if he has that, I pretty much win the game because he has less life points. So I should have done the Heavy Storm first. So I activate Heavy Storm here. He loses 2 back rows, and then I just special summon Fortress, and then I attack him per game. So that ends the game here, so pretty quickly. I didn't really care about Gores. The reason why I didn't care about Gores is because he does set 2 cards to his back row. So Gores was not going to come down, so most likely he didn't have it in his hand. So game 3 starts, and we'll see what we side here. I decided to take out the Dust Shoot out of my side deck because he does play the Dragon Control variant, which means he's going to have a lot more traps that he's going to set to his back row. So in that case, Dust Shoot would be pretty useless, so I decided to take out Dust Shoot for sure, and then side in some more cards. I took out the Mirror Force because I didn't want to deal with the Starlight Road in case he had the big board that he makes with under Starlight Road. So I decided to keep the Mirror Force out of the main deck. In hindsight, I probably should have kept the Mirror Force, or put the Mirror Force back in, just because I do side 7 tools of the Bandit. So in case he does decide to commit to the a Mirror Force, I can just 7 tools the Starlight Road and make sure that he destroys all his monsters. So I keep the Cold Wave in just in case because I'm going second, and I do want the Cold Wave play where I activate Cold Wave, summon the Block Salvo, and make the Kochi, and then make a Black Rose. From there I can just board control from there on out because I simplified the game. Okay, so game 3 is going to start now and see what he opens up and see what I open up. I open up with a Kochi, so it's pretty good opening. He opens up a Future Fusion in his opening turn. I hate when they do that. So he reveals the 5-God Dragon and he sends the 5 dragons to his hand from his deck to the graveyard. He has an Omen and Crossed Out in his hand. He sends the 5 dragons to the graveyard. I look at his graveyard and see what he sent. He didn't send the Prime Material Dragon, so it means I have a chance. And also he sent only one Red as Darkness Metal Dragon. So in the event that I'm able to banish the Darkness Metal Dragon, he won't have a follow-up Darkness Metal Dragon. But I'm not sure if he has one in hand or not. So probably he has one in hand already, which is why he decided to send the Totem Dragon. So I'm looking at his hand here. He has the Oppression, Mass Dragon, and it looks like there's a monster that looks like a dark monster. So he sets the Oppression and he passes here. He'd bring out Darkness Metal Dragon. I draw into a Vanity's Fiend. I decided to set it. And I set the Deep Prison along with 4 other back. So he draws into a Starlight Road here. Turn 1, he decides to bring out a monster. I read the White Knight Dragon here. The White Knight Dragon actually prevents me from targeting him with traps. So I decided to bottomless here. So White Knight Dragon does negate Deep Prison here, so I decided to bottomless the White Knight Dragon. And he does have a Cyber Dragon in his hand, so it wasn't a Darkness Metal Dragon. He activates Cross Out here, and that's really disappointing for me because it was a Dokoichi. So I won't be able to activate Salvo to Synchro Summon into a Black Rose and blow up the field. So here he's contemplating whether he wants to summon into Torrential. So he decided not to because he does have the Starlight Road. So he decides not to attack either because he doesn't want to lose his monster with Deep Prison. And he was right to do that. He sets the monster instead. I activate Lord Darkness and I banish Vanity's Fiend. I don't know why I decided to keep Salvo, maybe because I had the Synchro play. Oh no, I had a machine monster, so I can, he's a machine monster. So the nice thing about Salvo is that if you have him and not the Koichi in the graveyard, you can actually send the Salvo to the graveyard to special summon the Fortress. So that's why I decided to go with this line instead. So here I decide to pitch for Fortress. He does have the Oppression set, so he decided not to activate the Oppression here. The reason probably because he wanted me to attack with the Fortress and then basically lose it to a Deep Prison. So I decided to crash into the Darkness Metal Dragon, and I decided to destroy his Future Fusion so I don't have to deal with the 5-God Dragon. And I do have a Deep Prison set so that I can pretty much Deep Prison the Darkness Metal Dragon. I attack his Mass Dragon, he goes into another Mass Dragon, and I pass. So I'm in a pretty bad spot here. Yeah. Surprised that he didn't send the Quacky Power Drago off the Future Fusion, because with that he would have been able to lock out my Salvo play, but I guess he's afraid that that I might make a Machina Fortress and just run over the Quackimore Drago instead. So he shifts his monster defense mode, he special summons, or shifts it to attack mode, and he special summons the Wyvern. He decides to crash the Wyvern into my gear frame, and this is really good for him because he can just revive the Wyvern next turn. So I'm pretty much out of monsters at this point because I lost all my Dokuichis out of my deck, and so most likely I'm going to draw into traps and spells, and yeah. And now I have to stare down 3 dragons that I can't deal with because I can't draw a monster because I lost a lot of monsters. I activate Book of Moon and then he attacks with the Mass Dragon. I activate the Deep Prison on the Wyvern, and then I just show him my hand and I have a Heavy Storm, Vanity's Fiend, and a Caius. Yeah, so these monsters would have been really great. I did have the Vanity's Fiend in my hand at the beginning of the turn. If he had not Nobleman and crossed out my Dokoichi, I would have been able to flip the Koichi, draw a card, and then tribute for Vanity's Fiend, and then lock him out of the game. Because I did have 7 tools set, so the 7 tools would have dealt with any of the monsters or any of the trap cards, so it would have been a really good match. But I did see that he opened up with Brain Control, so he would have probably Brain Control my Vanity's Fiend and then tribute for a Caius, or tribute for a Cyber Dragon in his hand. So that would have been a different game had he not drawn the annulment of Crossout. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the gameplay video or commentary video, just to show you guys a different deck that could be pretty good. I decided to play Chaos Machinas because it does have really cool plays, and also it's a Dark Arm. It makes Dark Arm Dragon live with the Feature Fusion. But after playing with this deck at a tournament, I realized that the Feature Fusion isn't really that great, and therefore I need ways to field my my Dark in my graveyard easily. That isn't the Koichi. So most likely Dad is probably not going to be a good most likely, Dad is not a good card in this deck, just because I need to have 3 darks in my graveyard, and because I'm not playing Black Wings or Fayu, I have to rely on cards like Raiko to mill cards, and since those cards play harder into Deck Devastation Virus, I do have to decide to play a different variant of this deck to not lose so hard to No Mana Crossout and Deck Devastation Virus. Another thing I wanted to add is that he does play this deck is a dragon control deck. Dragons for some reason aren't seeing much play into the meta. I think a lot of people are deciding to play the Dragon Turbo variant, which basically tries to end the game as quickly as possible. And with the Dragon Turbo variant, it makes it so that people think there's only one way to play dragons, but this is a second way to play dragons. So I should have asked for my friend if he wanted to do a deck profile, because this particular dragon list I think is really good, because as you can see, the Darkness Spell Dragon was able to give him a +1 every turn, basically allowing him to control the board a lot better, because he can crash his 1800 monster into my 1800 monster, and then next turn he can just bring it back. So that generated him a +2 because he's able to kill my monster with his +1. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll have another commentary video for next Monday, and I'll probably try to spice it up a little bit, because my locals is basically having EDISON every week, so I'll definitely play more EDISON in real life as opposed to once a month at the other place. Okay, see you guys later. Peace.